All right, then, guys, this is Yara here. Today we're going to do a fun tier list post ban list. In case you missed it, yesterday Konami dropped the ban list after the YCS and it was amazing. The crowd was going wild. Please, Konami, keep doing the ban list the same way, right? Keep dropping them after our YCS just to kind of wrap up that chapter and move on to the next chapter. And in case you missed the ban list, I'm going to show it to you real quick. We're going to go fast, okay? Ban Link Decoder, ban Nightmare Griffin, ban Abyss Dweller, ban Bahamut Shark. And for the limited section, we have Bestial Druisworm, we have Dimension Shifter, we have Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King, Mathmix Circular, and we also have Rhysel Detonator in the limited section. In the limited section, Bonfire, also Brilliant Fusion came from Forbidden. Also, Cross-Out Designator is now limited, and also Triple Tactics Talent. Not so triple anymore. Anyways, for the semi-limit, now we have Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. We also have the X-Ritual, Ice-Ritual, Malice Dormouse, we have the Malice White Rabbit, we have Morphine Jar, we have Snake Eye Ash, Snake Eyes Poplar, we have the Sword Rysel, we have Unchained Soul of Sharvara, we also have White Dragon Wyvern Burster, we also have Malice in Underground. And for the Unlimited, we have Cyber Jar, Danger Jackalope, we have the Dangerous Tsuchinoko, we have Ava, and we have Performapal Monkey Board. Now Unlimited. So now let's go to the tier list. So we're gonna have tier list. We're gonna have table 500. That means that if you're gonna go to a big event, you're gonna be in the very back tables, you know, fighting whatever God forbid, whatever kind of crazy decks people that don't really care that much are there to play. So if you're into that, I'm not judging, right? I don't really like to judge people. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then you're more than welcome to do that. We also have the rogue section, we have tier 2, tier 1, and the very best decks post ban list. So let's begin. So we have Dragon Link. A lot of people have been eyeing Dragon Link now that Dimension Shifter and Dweller have, well, Dweller's banned and Dimension Shifter is a 1. So only a few decks are going to be running Dimension Shifter. So, but I mean, they still have a lot of Bestials at their disposals, right? They can run 3 Baldrakes, 3 Soriner, 3 Lubellion, 1 Druism, 1 Magnemud, and the whole, now 2 Wyvern Buster, 2 Collapse Serpents. I mean, they're almost, I mean, we're never gonna have full power Dragon Link like back in the days with Agar Pain and everything like that, but I mean, Dragon Link is looking pretty good right now with all the Bestials, so I think it's gonna have a lot of potential in this format. But as of right now, I'm gonna put this in tier 2 only because we still need to see how much it can do with this new format. So Full Boundaries, unfortunately, Pot of Prosperity is a limited, Dimension Shifter is limited. I mean, but on the bright side, maybe Malice is not going to be that popular, so Lancia won't be as popular. But I still think this is a rogue deck. Flunderies is one of the decks that I love, but I don't think it's that strong right now. Fire King, one of the best decks in the damage step. You can normal summon an Ash Blossom, crash it, Garunix in hand or Garunix in graveyard. You know, special summon, pop something else. One of the few decks that where the battle phase is really scary because they can OTK you out of nowhere. So we saw Fire King actually win a big event recently. So Fire King is on everybody's radar right now. They don't really lose that hard to the Mocharmies, right? Depending what kind of hand they open with. But I think Fire King is looking pretty solid right now. I'm going to put this at tier 1. Mathmix. So Mathmix Circular. Shout out Joshua Schmidt. I know you hate this card, but I think Mathmix Circular, you know, gives a huge boost to Mathmix, right? Plus, Druisworm is now limited, so that's 2 less Bestials that people can run. You know, Mathmix is on the up and up, right? They did lose one of their Link once, but, you know, this is one of the best access code decks. Plus, being able to end on the trap card, where you're able to rip a card out of their hands, plus being able to out a body, it's pretty strong. I mean, this deck can run 15 plus hand traps, so Mathmix is back in the menu, right? You can run Silent Manning to search this. I mean, now, do I think it's going to be tier 1? I honestly think it will be. I do think it's going to be tier 1. I just don't know the best variant of Mathmix, maybe just pure or like mix it up with something else. But I think Mathmix Circular being back on the menu changes things a lot. Blue Eyes has a very good grind game, right? Being able to, you know, every single turn, being able to keep getting resources. The problem is when you can't really OTK your opponent that easily. So you cannot rely on being able to stop your opponent when you need to. So, but I think it still is a very good deck. So, where would I put Blue Eyes? Maybe at the top of tier 2. Merrill lost Bahamut Shark, so now they won't be able to like double toe their opponent, but they can still rip your hand, right? Mooning Glacia, Minstrel, I mean, you name it. And this deck can break boards going second. So a lot of people think, oh, it's very good going first. Yeah, but you can actually break boards going second. Plus, a couple of pluses this deck had in the ban list is Dweller is banned, so you won't have to worry about getting Dwellered. You won't have to play stuff like XYZ Encore. Now you can play stuff like Droplet or cards like that. That well, before you kind of had to run those things like XYZ Encore just so people won't Dweller you. But now you have more options, right? You have more options. You can run imperms and stuff like that. So Mermos, Dweller getting banned, Dimension Shifter is now limited. They don't get hurt by Bestials. I mean, I still think it's a tier 1 deck. It did lose a lot of power, but I still think it's a tier 1 deck. Ryziel got all their starters semi-limited, and Bonfire is now limited. Detonator's limited, so he lost a lot of consistency, right? So pure Ryziel was already a little bit shaky, where like sometimes you would just break. At the YCS where I just went to, I faced, I don't know, like 4 Ryziel opponents, and a lot of them were just breaking, just setting 2 and passing. So now you're definitely gonna have to mix it with something, either Fiendsmith or either different things, right? Well, I don't think pure Ryziel is gonna be the way to go. So, but I still think it's a good deck. I still think, is it still a tier 1 deck though? That's a good question. I don't know. It just depends like which variant of Ryziel. I mean, not ending on Dweller, that actually hurts a lot. Yeah, still tier 1, but I don't think it's the king anymore. I don't even think it was the king. It was up there with Malice, but I don't think it's that good right now. Not the king anymore. Odeon, you know, doesn't lose to the board breakers because you have an in-engine out to stuff like Lightning Storm or Feather Duster because of your trap cards. They're pretty good. I don't think this deck is that good though, in my opinion. I mean, that's just what I think. I just don't think it's that good. People were playing it with Fiendsmith or Pure. I don't think this deck is that good. So Memento. Okay, so Memento actually won the most recent YCS. I went up against 2 Mementos at the YCS. I beat one of them only because they bricked, and the second one they 2-0'd me pretty convincingly. I Talons looked at their hand, and their hand was insane, where like I couldn't hit anything, right? So Memento is looking pretty solid. It doesn't lose Goblin Biker Memento, but it doesn't lose to stuff like D-Barrier, right? Even if you call Fusion, right? Like your main deck monsters, they're insane, right? They combine creation, you know, just you name it. It doesn't lose that hard to any of the Mulch army. So I think Memento is looking pretty solid. I'm gonna put this at the very top, honestly. Like it can play a lot of 1-card starters, right? A lot of 1-card starters, and it can play a lot of non-engine as well. So, you know, and it can set up a freaking insane board, right? Like breaking through this board is crazy, and the grind game is crazy. Now that you don't have to worry about Dweller, you don't have to worry about Shifter. Like Memento just won a YCS, and now that Konami hit all those cards, is gonna even go up even higher, right? I don't think Konami realized, it actually escaped my radar as well, but I don't think Konami realized how strong this deck was. A lot of people were Memento at the YCS, and I think they decided the ban list before the YCS, and then Memento won the YCS, and then they're like, oh wait, we didn't even touch this deck at all. So now we're gonna have to play another format with Memento being at the top of the game. And I mean, you can look at a lot of YouTube videos where like 1-card starter ends up on like 7 interruptions, 8 interruptions. Like this deck has a lot of 1-card starters. You're gonna have to have a spreadsheet though to memorize all those things. So Sorcel is actually the deck that I took to the YCS, and I think it's pretty good. Honestly, sometimes I would open some hands, all engine. My opponent would build their board, and I'm like, I can break that board, just engine, right? Like the 10Ys are good at breaking boards. The Sorcel monsters are good because you're able to chain block your Baxia. So going second is pretty good, and going first, you can Protoss your opponent, right? What sucks is that it's good in Top Cut once you know what your opponent is on, but pre-Top Cut is kind of hard. If you win the die roll, you kind of have to like gamble and see, okay, what are they on? So, but you know, all in all, I think that it's tier 2. I think it's tier 2, somewhere over here. You can't really play that much non-engine. You don't have that many slots unless you decide to go like 45 or something like that, but you lose consistency, right? You don't have that many 1-card starters. So Mimighoul is a deck that the field spell is broken, the XYCs are broken, even the monsters themselves are broken, especially if you play something like Kashtira, because then you're able to proc the unicorn by yourself. But it did lose talents. Now that you have talents at 1, so the whole gimmick of giving your opponent a monster, activating the effect, then talents in them is going to be a little bit harder. I don't really think this deck has that much potential. Rogue, we have Tenpai. Tenpai is not that consistent anymore. They can play a lot of hand traps, but what are hand traps going to do if you're not that consistent, right? So I think probably tier 2. I mean, if they open well, they can break through any board, but that's if they open well, right? So now we're going to talk about Unchained. So Unchained, okay, hold my water, hold me back. I don't want to go all in, all right? You know, those people when they're fighting, they're like, hold me back because they don't want to fight. So hold me back, all right? But I think Unchained is actually gonna be one of the top decks post Banlist, right? Sharvara going to 2, you might be like, what? Like, how does that change anything? Well, there are certain lines in that deck where, like, to play around Nibiru, you actually needed that second Sharvara, because you kind of want to have one for the DDD, and you want to have one in hand so you can play through like the board breakers and stuff like that. So now you're able to do some of those combos, right? Where like you have one to make an XYZ or a link or something, and you have one in hand to be able to proc during your opponent's turn. So and on chain, we all know Dweller's banned, right? Like, this deck was the original Fire King. Well, I don't know which one came out first, the OG Fire Kings or the OG Unchained, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that they both love either getting popped or going to the battle phase, right? So Unchained is looking promising. It's looking very promising. So this is just my opinion. You guys can crucify me in the comments if you want, but I think Unchained is gonna be one of the best decks post ban list. Honestly, like Sharvar going to 2 plus Dweller getting banned and Shifter at 1 means that they have a lot more things at their disposal, right? Sky Striker table 500. We're gonna have to wait on the new support, and even then with the new support, I don't know if he'll be meta relevant. We'll just have to wait and see. True Draco got Masterpiece. Is it gonna change anything? I don't think so, unfortunately. I've played this in Master Duel, and you kind of have to open it very well. Like, we need the field spell at 3 in the TCG in order for it to even do anything, right? So Masterpiece at 1. So people, even when it was unlimited, people would just play one of it. So it doesn't really matter whether it's 1, 2, or 3. What matters is the field spell. So Diagram. Snake Eyes. So they got Snake Eye at 2 and Popular at 2 now. So is it going to change anything? Original Sin is still banned. Don't think this is going to change anything. So maybe tier 2 is gonna get mixed in with something else, like either Fire King or the Asamina cards. But like a lot of Asamina cards, I don't think it's gonna do much. Actually, let me put this over here, maybe at the top of Rogue. Malice is looking promising. They did lose some consistency. I've seen some people trying to build Mathmic Malice, but I don't know how good that's gonna be. You lose 2 shifters, you lose a lot of consistency as well. Do I think losing consistency is gonna matter? I think so. Sometimes they would break a lot, so they might have to mix it in with another engine. I don't know what engine would be best. Maybe the Fiendsmith stuff. I mean, some people were already playing Fiendsmith, but I mean, it still has good potential. I think it's gonna be above Ryzeal, above Mermail, above Mathmech. Maybe something. I think. Let's see, something like this. Let's see. Okay, Yubel. So keep in mind that when I was talking about Unchained, I'm talking about Unchained Fiendsmith, right? So Unchained Fiendsmith. Maybe some now Yubel Fiendsmith. I think it's actually pretty good. Does lose pretty hard to Fualos, but I mean, their board is not really that scary. Like, we're just talking about Yubel Fiendsmith, no Unchained cards. Yeah, I think I would probably put it somewhere over here, tier 2. Kashira, Shifter is now at 2. A Rysart still ban. I'm just gonna have to say Rogue. Tearlament Dweller getting banned is huge. Shifter getting getting limited is huge as well. Druidstorm getting limited is also huge. So they got a lot of pluses in the indirect pluses in this ban list. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to put them at the top of tier 2, only because I've seen some pretty good duels with Tearlaments recently against meta decks, and they're able to break some boards, right? Especially if you play Grass. So if you play Grass and you just mill like 20 cards, then yeah, it can get pretty crazy stuff. So Branded actually lost 2 crossouts. So you might be like, why do they care about crossout? Is to cross out the D barrier. So now people D barrier you. You're not gonna be playing the one-off crossout. So you're just gonna have to skip the turn, right? So yeah, the crossout actually hurts Branded, because D-Beer is gonna become a lot more popular, I think, just to be able to combat some random decks. So I'm just gonna have to say Rogue. And now Voiceless Voice, another deck that's close to my heart. You can play Ava, now it's a 3. You can play Herald the Orange Light. You can play Lancia, also combines well with Herald of the Orange Light, because it's a fairy. Doesn't lose to any of the Molcharmies, right? So, because you can play around most of them. So I actually think it's gonna be pretty well. It's gonna do pretty well. So we'll probably put it at the top of tier 2. Only because like their end board is not really that crazy. You end up on a trap card, plus I mean, your best end board is, you know, a non-negate, the Saravius, times 2 with the continuous spell, and maybe a trap card to pop things. But even then, it's not that crazy, right? It kind of loses to stuff like Droplet or something along those lines. So, or Dark Ruler no more. So yeah, it does lose to a lot of board breakers. So it can play through hand traps well, but board breakers kind of do hurt it. So yeah, I'll put it at the top of tier 2. So yeah, I think this is how I'm gonna wrap up this tier list. Do you guys agree, disagree? Put it in the comments below. But I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.